Hi guys, Jack Revens here, the trainer from Down Under, and welcome to the Front Door Champions Weekly Check-In. And it's great to be with you here. Every week we come in and we check out whether you're a Front Door Champion when you're just doing the challenge, or you've just started the challenge, or you're thinking of doing the challenge. Thanks so much for joining us here. And don't forget to reach out for us in the comments. And please, I know sometimes this is it's a repeat because a lot of people aren't listening to it live because I'm here in Australia from Down Under. I'm doing this at 12:55 in the morning to hopefully get to the AM side of the other end of the world. And sometimes you're not going to miss it, or you're going to miss it live, but you can drop me a question in the chat, or if you want to, you can talk to us via the comments maybe 2, 3, 4 months later. So feel free to drop us a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So let's get into it. So this week in the movement, what's been happening this week at the gym? Well, I'm going to tell you a little story about butter. Coming up later, I'm going to tell you a story about butter. And if I can get this online, I'm hoping I can. Let's see if this works here, because I've been working on this all night, really. And it seems to not be working, sadly. What a pain it is. Technology always lets me down. I apologize for that, but I was hoping to see if we can get this. Here, try it one more time. Here we go. It's going to work. We're going to talk about this butter. Coming up later, I'm going to talk to you about this butter and what's this got to do. Not the brand name. I'm not concerned about the brand name, but the butter, because I could have picked up any one of these. In fact, I didn't get picked this up. I was given this by a lady who I asked for butter, and she gave me that product. So I'll be telling you a bit about that, and also about welcome to all the Front Door Champions this week. How good is that? The success you guys are having with the Front Door Championship, it's so good. You've not just been doing this week, you've been doing the last couple of weeks, and it's really good. And the great thing about the challenge is you can start it any week and keep going, because there's no stop to the challenge, because it's a 4-week challenge, or it's a 30-day challenge. But once you've succeeded in that challenge, you can continue using the program and continue getting fit and continue changing the shape of your whole community one man at a time. And that's what we're talking about here, changing the shape of one man at a time. But I want to get back to that butter story, because this is really important, what's happening. I call it the artificial intelligence, which is happening and breaking into our industry. And the fitness industry includes the food industry, sadly. And the food industry is so unhealthy, and the fitness industry sometimes is just as unhealthy. I call it the unhealthy health industry. But a client this week, talking about things that happened this week, a client this week said to me, they are now the weight they are. They haven't been this weight for over 14 years. How good is that? So a big call out to Jeffrey. Awesome, Jeffrey, for doing that. 14 years you haven't been that weight, and now you're back to the weight you were 14 years ago, which is awesome news. It's well worth congratulating. And
Wow!
Awesome, Jeffrey. He got a wow from us. And I'm going to also talk to you today about what Jack Jr., if you haven't seen Jack Jr., he's a little 5-year-old son of mine, a made-up AI son of mine, and he's on the YouTubes, on the social medias, talking it and telling you straight about what's happening out there in the industry, and he's calling it like a 5-year-old. He hasn't been tainted with all the crap that we've been sort of filled in our heads, and that's where the butter comes in. We'll get back to the butter in a second. But Jack Jr., that is, he was talking today or this week about what are you doing? The trend now is whether it's weights now or cardio now, and he calls it, if you haven't seen it already, check out the socials this week, or search for the one. I think the title is weights versus cardio. Check out that title. It's about a 60-second video. All the Jack Jr. videos are about 60 seconds, and they're fantastic. They're a lot of fun. It's a bit of a truth bomb in the industry. So we'll be back after this break. Thanks for sticking around, but we'll be back after this break.
The men's movement. It's like having a personal trainer in your pocket. Only better.
So let's talk about this butter. And is it really butter? Let's have a look at this, shall we? Look at that product. Excuse the hands because I've been gardening this weekend. But that butter, that product is not butter. I was in a cafe this week, and I said to the lady, I every now and again shout myself fruit toast and butter because I love the taste of butter. There's nothing wrong with food. Food is great and it's good for you. And now coming up later, I'm going to be some breaking news about how you can eat for your results. The topic today is for eating for your results, and I'll tell you about that a bit later on. But this butter, there's nothing wrong with eating butter. I asked the lady because they brought two of these things to my plate this week, sadly, because the restaurants changed they used to have real butter, and they had this product there. And the first waitress brought this over, and said another waitress walked past, and I said to the lady, "Oh, excuse me, can I get some butter?" And she walked over and she handed me, she goes, "Do you want one or two?" And I said, No, I want some butter. And she said, "That's butter." I said, "No, I'd like some butter." And she said, "No, that's butter." And, have a look. Have a close look what it says. Spreadable, right? And if we can get that zoomed in, I hope I can. Blended spread. That's not butter, guys. That's not butter. We were a bit worried about AI taking over the whole of the sort of computer industry and corporate industries and commercial. People are worried about AI, even in YouTube. You don't know which is fake and which isn't fake. But I think you should be more concerned with the AF, the artificial foods, because that's not food. Yeah, and it's not just butter that's fake. If you go to your fridge right now, go to your freezer right now and check. I bet you might have a product like that called Spreadable. It's not butter, guys. It's crap. So go to your freezer right now, and if you've got any ice cream in your freezer, there's nothing wrong with having ice cream in your freezer. I feel there's nothing wrong with having ice cream in your freezer, but you've possibly got a product called frozen confectionery. Because they can't call it ice cream because it hasn't got enough cream to make it legally be able to call it ice cream. And they can't call this butter because it's not butter. It's only about 60% of butter in there. And of that, 60% is butter. It's actually milk solids. So is that really butter? They call it, if I was to zoom in on that again, you can go back and check it out yourself if you don't believe me, or Google it. The AF has creeped in. We've got the artificial fridge containing the artificial foods. So it's really sad that we've got that happening in our industry, and it's not a good thing because there's nothing wrong with eating ice cream. There's nothing wrong with eating the butter, and I'll get back to that later on because today's topic, like I said, is about eating for your results. I said last week when I was we were talking about how to eat. And I promise you this week we'll talk about the emotional side of your eating and get you your results in a much quicker way. So we want to talk about the AF and the AI, or should it be JI? Bit of Jack intelligence there. Because really, we've got to get back to eating healthy foods, and eating food, because you get your results when you eat food. When we find out what's really driving your choices and we really eat food. That's what we're talking about right now. Let's get to it, shall we? We've sort of I've teased you enough saying we're going to do it. Let's do it. So when you're eating, ask yourself why you're eating that particular food. So I have clients who eat particular things. Let's take one of my clients said, "I have to eat this particular drink, this soft drink." I said, "Okay, if you have to eat that particular soft drink, by all means, have that particular soft drink." But I asked, why that particular soft drink? And they said, "I had to." I said, "Well, can you bring that soft drink in next week and we'll go through eating it?" And they came in the following week, and they were a bit hesitant because they were worried that I was going to do something to this soft drink or do some sort of therapy and make them feel disgusted with eating this soft drink. I said, "I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to slam you for eating it. There's nothing wrong. There's no moral judgment with food. Just remember that food's no longer good or bad. There's no good food or bad food. It's food. There's no judgment here." So I asked them, I said, "Okay, why did you bring that food in?" They said, "This soft drink." And they said, "Oh, I brought this one in." I said, "Could you have brought another one in?" They said, "Could have brought anyone in. I don't mind what flavour the food is, the soft drink is." I'm not going to name drop any brand names here. I said, "Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm leaning in, trying to figure out why they wanted to eat it in a particular way." And I say eat the soft drink because anything you take through your mouth is food. I had a lady once I was training, and she said, "Oh, I hardly eat anything. I hardly eat anything." And I realized she was right. She was hardly chewing her food. She was drinking her food. So she was drinking lots of alcohol and drinking lots of coffee and saying, "I'm not hardly eating food." So anything you put in your mouth is eating your food. It just happens to be in liquid form. So this particular gentleman, I said, "Why did you bring a bottle in and not a can in?" And he said, "I have to have it in a bottle." I said, "Okay, why do you have to have it in a bottle?" And he said, "Oh, that's the sound. That sound, reminds me of when I was 8 years of age at a party for the first time with my parents, and I had, that first bottle of soft drinks, that drink of soft drink." So this gentleman wasn't eating food. He was consuming a memory. Let's just say that one more time. Let's get really close now, guys. He wasn't eating food. He was consuming a memory. Because people often don't eat food. They consume food. They consume food and they get that confused because they're consuming a memory. And when you consume a memory, you're not actually eating food. When you get back to eating food, you can change your shape. You lose weight and change shape. When you consume food, you put on weight. So, we worked on some other things with this particular guy, and I said, okay, so it reminds me of a party, and I'll give you an easier example of this. Was another person. They said they had to have the ice cream and had to be in their car when they're eating their ice cream. I said, why do you have to be in the car when you're eating your ice cream? They said, because it reminds me of when I was a uni student. I was free and I was driving along and I had the window down and have the ice cream in my hand. I said, okay, so you're not eating an ice cream, you're consuming a memory. I'm hoping some of you are going, that's happened to me. You can relate to this because we don't eat food, we consume memories. But once we start eating our food and acknowledging the memory, you'll start to change your shape because you'll start eating food and eating less of it. It's really easy to do. But you've got to acknowledge it first, why you're eating the certain foods. Because once you can understand why you're eating the foods, then you can change the habits. And I talked about last week, I wanted to get to the emotional part of the eating the food, and then you can change the habits. Because it's really easy to change the habits when you slow down. One of the things I instruct people to do when they're eating their food is to eat with a knife and a fork. And eat it slowly and really chew the food and really enjoy the food. And if the food, like my experience with food, I love fish and chips on Friday night. I don't have them every Friday night, but it reminds me, I was about to drop that reminds me in there, reminds me of my family. And I'd walk to the fish and chip shop even, the takeaway food shop, with my dad and come back and we'd have a chip or two on the way home. I wasn't consuming I wasn't eating fish and chips as an adult. I was consuming a memory. So it's really important to distinguish between the two and I can keep going with more and more examples. And if you want me to keep going with more and more examples, write down in the comments and say, hey, Jack, this is what's happened to me. Give me your example so I can share it with others. Or if you want more examples, I can happily share or expand this topic. And next week, when we talk about this topic again, I'll tell you about Sigmund Freud. I'm going to write that note and tell you about Sigmund Freud next week, but I'll be back after this break.
The Men's Movement. It's like having a personal trainer in your pocket. Only better.
So here we are back, and thanks so much. And don't forget, you can buy me a coffee at any time on The Movement. All right, I'll just put this up here. Let's all have a bit of a coffee break. You can buy me a coffee, and the great thing about that, if you scan that QR code, if you're watching this live, that's gone away. I'll just put it up quickly again. But if you wish to, if you scan that, it goes to a particular website, and you can buy me a coffee and support the movement. Or better yet, if you tick the box which says, hey, I want to donate some money to two fantastic things we have here in Australia. One's called the Men's Shed, which helps men all around Australia. They help build sheds and not build sheds. They've got sheds and they can tinker in there, and it's really good bonding and community building. And the other is the Polished Man, which is a great movement for helping men or helps people who've been affected by men with violence and things like that. But we've got to get to the cause, though. We've got to help the men, and we're trying to help the men as well and help the polished men, which polished men are doing too. So thanks so much for joining us here in the movement. But what do we do here on the movement? The main point about this is to get you moving. Yes, we can talk about this stuff, and hopefully some of you are listening to this in your headphones whilst you're walking down the street. We want to, or at the gym, wherever you are, we want to get you moving so that the front door challenge and becoming a front door champion is what we want you to do. We want you to become a front door champion, because if we can help you and help you change the shape of your body and help you change your attitude and all sort of stuff, you change the whole shape of the whole community. And that's what we want to do here on the movement. So I'll cross to this now and have a bit of a chat about the movement, because there are people who've been sent here by their friends to be part of the movement, and they're wondering what it is. What is this men's movement? And the people who are doing the front door challenge, these live streams, are to help you keep doing it, because it's okay to start. Nike is a fantastic thing. Nike is awesome. I love their logos, whether you like them or not as a company. Or wear their shoes or tops. Who cares? Nikki is the goddess of victory. That's why they're called Nike. And Nike, the logo or slogan, "Just do it," is fantastic. But it's a start. Anyone can do it. Doing it once is really easy. Signing up for the front door challenge, if it's your first attempt at it, third attempt at it, or the 10th attempt at it, that's fine. There's no such thing as failure, only a temporary non-success. There's no such thing as failure, only a temporary non-success. So if you've started again, that's fine. But Nike, like I said, is half right. Just do it. Anyone can just do it. The real trick is to keep doing it. You've got to keep doing it and keep doing it. And that's what the 30-day challenge is. It's about helping you keep doing it. Let's cross to the 30-day challenge now.
www.themensmovement.com.au.
So this 30-day challenge here, the point of this is to create a habit of reaching for the front door, not the fridge door, and getting you out the front door and getting you movement. And what happens along the way is daily, every day, you get a email sent to you in the morning, and you get a new training session. And what you do with that training session is you walk out the front door, plug your headphones in, and I'm with you every step of the way, training you and moving. And about the 15-minute mark, I'll get you to turn around and come back home. And you could turn left, right, doesn't matter whether you do this in the country. I've got people who do this in Ireland. I've got people who do this in America. I've got people who do it in England. I've got people all around Australia doing this. And it's fantastic. And the goal is to do it every day for 30 days and to make a habit of this, moving. And the great thing about doing this, it creates a ripple effect. We look up there, over there, it creates a ripple effect for the whole community. It changes the shape and strengthens the whole community, because when you change, everyone changes. Your family changes, your friends change. People will notice. Trust me, 30 days of movement is going to make a huge difference to your life and a huge difference to your whole community's life. And that's what the challenge is about. We want to get more people becoming front door champions. It's great values. If we go that, I don't know which way to go. It's mirrors are mirrors. It's exceptional value. It's a fantastic thing. I've done 40 years of doing this, guys. 40 years of knowledge in here delivered to you every day in 30-minute little training sessions, and that's great. And there's a few testimonials up there. You can scan those QR codes. But let's get back to the live stream with it's a really good value, and it's under $100. How good is that? For less than $100, you get 30 personal training sessions, and you get access to the live streams every week. This is great value, and please, the link's in the description below if you want to click there, or click on the QR code if you want to. And we'll be back in a moment.
The men's movement. It's like having a personal trainer in your pocket. Only better.
So we're getting through the challenge, and I've got a segment here called "What Would Des Do?" Let's have a look at this. And Des is a great guy. He's fantastic, and he's just a most amazing soul. Really clever. He's as an elderly guy. He's probably in his mid-80s now, early 80s. I don't want to overage him. And he represents not just himself, but all of the gentlemen I train at the club. I've trained people for over 4 decades, and I've got a Rolodex of these guys who are just amazing. You know, got presidents, ex-presidents of the Australian Medical Board. We've got ex-presidents of the Physio Board, ex-presidents of the Chiropractor Board here in Australia, ex-presidents of the Sports Physicians Board here in Australia. We've got ex-CEOs of some large companies here in Australia. So we've got doctors, physios, and business people, and I've got them on tap to ask them questions. So if you've got any questions about finance, health, medical, legal, if you need anything asked, ask the men here in the community, and I'll reach out to them and they'll get back to me with their answers. And so I've called it What Would Des Do, because early on in my career, I was having a bit of discussion with Des. I was training Des. I used to train Des twice a week. And he was a great gentleman. He left school about at the age of 12, 13, and we're talking street smart. This guy is so smart, so successful. There's nothing this guy hasn't done. Been a world champion water skier, the fastest guy on a boat in Australia back in his day. He was a champion and still is a champion. He's more than a front door champion. He's a legend, legendary, guys. So I used to, when I was going through my life and saying, okay, if I had confronted with a situation, I used to say to myself, what would Des do? What would Des do right now, you know, if he was in this situation? So I've got him on my Rolodex to ask for anything that's troubling you. What would Des do in the situation? So, you know, one of the things people commented on the comments, they say, hey, I'm having trouble because I haven't got the right equipment. So, you know, I think back to the stuff that Des would have done, and it's like, man, not having the right equipment is, you know, he told me once about not having the right axe. All he had was his old granddad's axe. He had his old granddad's axe, and as he was telling me, a little smirk on his face. I'm going, oh, you've got your granddad's axe? He goes, Jesus, that must be like a really old axe. He goes, yeah. I've had to change the handle twice and had to replace the head of the axe 3 times. So, you know, he just had a great way. We're having an argument one day, well, a discussion which led to an argument, and I'm going, no, you're not right, not right. And he said, Jack, trust me, I've been your age and my age. So, you know, this guy's got simple, no nonsense, cheeky wisdom. It's great. But one of the questions that came in, and I've got an answer for it, but I'll share an answer with it. I haven't reached out and asked Des this one because I thought it was too simple for him. But someone asked, what do you do if you haven't got any equipment at home to train with? What do you do? Haven't got access to a gym? What sort of stuff do you do? And you don't need equipment, guys. One of the things I promote is fitness using nothing. F-U-N. Get fit with fun. Fit using nothing. And in the 30-day challenges, we don't use any equipment. We head out the front door, go left, go right. I'll tell you which way to turn. And we just go. And I train you along the way with absolutely no equipment. In fact, you can just be wearing your suit. You can wear your clothes you wear as a carpenter. You can wear your clothes you wear as an electrician. It doesn't matter. School teaching clothes. You're not going to be doing anything crazy. And if you want to pick it up the pace, you can. But people think they need certain things and certain runners, certain stuff. And you don't need anything of that nature. And in fact, one of our trainers from the UK, he came here and he trained. And we used to discuss things like barefoot running. And I used to really promote barefoot running, running with no shoes at all. And he said, to prove the point, because he agreed, he said runners are just a complete, you know, they're a good marketing thing, but we don't really need them. However, they protect your soft tissue damage. And he said he ran a marathon with the left shoe on the right foot and the right shoe on the left foot, just to prove that shoes are not necessary to get a performance. So, you know, we know the guy who did the sub 2-hour marathon with Nike, those shoes give rebound and are now allowed legally to have a certain amount of rebound. We're not talking about that sort of help by your equipment, but you don't need anything, guys. You don't need to buy or purchase anything. You've got this. Okay, and what will help you, not just the equipment, but more importantly, is the 40 years of experience in here that I share with you. I don't just say, hey, go left and walk 5 meters and whatever. I give you all the information in here in drop it down, like what we're talking about with the eating stuff. I've trained so many people who've tried to lose weight, and they've done it so many other ways before, and they've failed, and they've come and finally found me because they've meandered into my studio, or found me because they've gone, that's the person I want to see because they've been told about me. This information changes people's lives, guys. It does. That person I told you before, they've lost weight, and they are losing weight. They've been there for about 5 months. They haven't been that weight for 16 years, I think she said. They said, wasn't a she, he. So, this is, it's just important, guys, for you guys to have this support, because you need support. If you haven't got support, then it makes it a lot harder. So we'll be back just after this break.
Be sure to go to our website, www.themensmovement.com.au.
Okay, so this week, let's focus on, what are we going to focus on this week? I think we need to focus on not worried about what you're doing. Please don't be concerned about what you're doing, whether you're walking, running, doing weights. Please don't do that. I don't want you to sort of get a distraction. The distraction, Jack Jr. this week talks about grown-ups spend more time trying to find the secret than actually, doing what they need to do. I actually say, I was at a seminar once about weight loss, and I was there. I was the only trainer there. There were psychologists there, there were dietitians there, and they found out I was a trainer. And pardon about that. They found out I was a trainer, and one of the ladies came up to me in the break, and they said, listen, I was watching the TV last night. Did you see the episode on the TV? It talked about, train for 12 seconds fast, 8 seconds slow, 12 seconds fast, 8 seconds slow. What do you think about that? And I said, yes. And she looked at me really stunned. I go, that's it. You've got the secret. I said, did you do it last night? And she said, no. I said, did you do it this morning before you came to the seminar? She said, no. I said, will you do it tonight when you go home? She goes, no, I just wanted to know what you thought about it. And I thought, you know what? The hunt for the secret is a distraction from what you know you have to do. I think people are trying to find the hunt, and then they've got a reason for not doing it. I spoke to a trainer at the seminar. He thought that wasn't any good. He thought this one or this one or this one, and it's you're not doing anything. It's a bit like guitar. I've got a guitar over here, just on the wall here. I used to play guitar. Well, actually, when I say I used to play guitar, I play guitar, but I used to really play guitar like a professional muso back in the day. And, if I picked up the guitar and tried to learn a jazz bit, and then tried to do a blues thing, and then tried to do a heavy metal thing, and I did all that in 5-10 minutes, I'll be running around doing nothing, So, interestingly, I'll come back to what Des said about this. People are so distracted, Pick a thing, pick a lane and go for it. So please stop hunting for the best way to do something, because there is no best way to do something. As long as you do it and keep doing it. Like I said before, just keep doing it. And one of the things Des once shared with me, he said, it's like watching those people on stage. There's people who have got the saucers or the plates, and they're spinning the stick here, and they've got a stick over here, and they're running over here, and then running over here, and running over here. And it's really amazing performance. It's amazing, exciting performance. And Des was telling me, he says, yeah, but they're doing nothing. If you think about their life, all they're doing is that. That's it. That's an act. People come into the gym and they're sort of almost acting. So you gotta take action. It's great they're here at the gym, not anywhere else, at the pub, but much rather than be at the gym. But just get into it and really get into it and take action. So whether you start doing boxing, whether you do after the 30-day challenge, whatever, as long as you move. It's not about just doing the 30-day challenge. It's moving and keep moving afterwards, because you've got to move, and if we can keep moving and take the action and keep walking daily, whether it's running, walking, jogging, whatever it is, it's just one thing, because when one man moves, like I said before, it changes the shape of the whole community. That's it. That's the bottom line. So thanks so much for joining us here on this week's Front Door Challenge and become the Front Door Champions live streams. We hope you've enjoyed it, and be sure to go to all of we've got great resources there. Make a comment if you want to. I'd love you to make a comment because I can reach out to you directly. Oh, just on that comment thing, if you want to, and this is really cool. If you go to the website, I showed you the website before, but if you go to the website, which is themensmovement.com.au, don't forget the .au because it's the trainer from down under. On the bottom of the website, there's a thing called SpeakPipe. And if you click that button, you can record a message and I get that message to me and I can actually feature you in this particular live stream. How cool is that? So you can actually be a vocalist. You can be a guest on the live stream, which would be great. Really love you to be part of it. It's a great movement. It's great fun. We hope you enjoy it. And we look forward to seeing less of you next time. I think I've covered everything for this week's live stream, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Don't forget, go to your fridge, check it out. You'll be surprised what's in there. Go to your freezer, check it out. Eat food, guys. Don't consume food. Eat it. No judgment. There's no judgment. Whatever you're doing, eat it. Don't consume it. And we'll talk more about that next week. And we'll talk a bit more about, I think I promised you, Sigmund Freud. I'm going to write that down now. Sigmund Freud. Take care, guys. We'll see you on the flip side. That's the flip side. And we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. The trainer from down under, signing off this week. See you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Men's Movement. Look forward to seeing less of you next time.